We've got the Motobilt Front and Rear Bumpers back from powder coating. We talked about them a few months ago, ordered them in, checked them out, but they are back. It's a nice spring day and we are gonna be installing them onto the Jeep. Now, if you guys watched that previous video, we did choose the Motobilt front and rear bumpers. However, we got them in the raw finish. Motobilt doesn't powder coat. I think they don't offer a powder coat option for their bumpers. Maybe some of the parts they do. But we actually decided to get these powder coated here locally. They just got back and I am extremely excited with how they turned out and how they're gonna look on the Jeep. We're trying to get the thing ready for show season. We've got our first show at Daytona Jeep Beach. If you guys are heading down, we're gonna try and do a meet and greet down there too. So we'll, in the community tab, we'll kind of start chatting about that. But if you guys are gonna be at that show, drop a comment down below. We'll leave my email too, so if you guys want to link up while we're down there, definitely hit us up. And wheeling season too. Summertime, we're gonna need these bumpers, we're gonna need the winch on there. So we've got everything ready to go here today. Front and rear bumpers, all of our hardware. These are not too hard to install. I don't think that's gonna go back on. This isn't gonna be a step-by-step installation of these. We just wanna get them onto the Jeep and show off what they look like when they're done. All right guys, so after about 10 minutes, we got the 8 bolts that were holding this plastic front bumper on. Now I already did remove the plastic air dam down below. A little while ago, I just didn't like the way it looked and I wasn't wheeling yet. So with that being said, let's go ahead and we can just pull off the front bumper. I've run a lot of aftermarket bumpers and I gotta be honest, when you have the Rubicon with the electronic disconnecting sway bar unit up front here, you really wanna protect that. So there's ways where you can kind of reclock it, you can put it up higher. I looked at bumpers with 2-piece skid plates. I didn't really like the way that that looked. The Motobilt Crusher sets the winch in down below, and then also it's able to kind of tuck everything up nice and tight. It protects our front electronic sway bar disconnect. It uses all factory locations, and honestly, there's no cutting, there's no real riffraff that you have to do to get this on. So I'm pretty impressed by that. The biggest thing that I wanted was something that's gonna look good, have a recessed winch mount, allow me to still run my diode lights up top. And I think this bumper should be good. I might have to notch it out a little bit here with my diode brackets, but we'll kind of see when that time comes. So what we're doing here, these are the, it's almost like a 2-piece kind of bracket. So this can slot out, but this sits behind the 4 bolts here. So this kind of aligns the bumper behind there. That's that bracket. So you loosen them up in order to make sure that this is completely straight up on there. When you install the Motobilt bumper, it's gonna have the studs go through here. So you're gonna need to make sure these are loosened up just a little bit loose, and then we'll tighten them up. Look at the plethora of parts we have. So here's kind of the 2-piece setup, guys. So what they do, Motobilt gives you the winch plate and then your outer shell. So the winch plate is gonna house our Warn Xeon Platinum. I think I have an 8S. I might upgrade to a 10S here in a little bit. That's just what I had laying around the shop, so we'll throw that one on for now and see how it holds up. But there you've got your winch plate, so this will go on first. Completely integrates with those 4 holes that we removed, and then our outer shell. So you can see here in the sun, we do have that light texture powder coat. Now, the guy over at Blue Lake Powder Coating, they did a fantastic job. And then also, he said go with this because if it gets scratched up out on the trail, you're not gonna see it with this light texture, and it matches a lot of the factory plastics. We'll leave a link for their website down in the description. How about it, Ryan? Those guys were great over there. 250 bucks for both bumpers. They zinc primed them and then they powder coated them. Very light texture. I love the way that these look, and I think the M there, right, for matte, no, it's for Motobilt, but the M right there is gonna look, it's all gonna look good. All right guys, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our winch plate, and then we have the flag nuts, which I just did a quick spray paint job on. Those are gonna slide up through the bottom of the frame rail here, and I'm gonna ever so gracefully try to hold it. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna completely one-hand this piece of really nicely made steel. Hold it with your head just to get the shot. See that? You always have a third hand. It's called your head. You silly. Same thing. I'm gonna try and, instead of someone filming it, they have second hands. Because Ryan's like, I gotta get the shot. I'm gonna get it snug by hand. And then see, here's another key factor as far as aligning this up with here. So I'm gonna line it up and try and snug these down. So we got the winch plate tightened up. What we're gonna do now is, kind of the nice thing about having a 2-piece setup is that we can drop the winch on there, get all that tightened up, and I actually just put a little extension there to hold everything up, but we can mount it all on there and then kind of just put the shell over top of it. So that'll be a really nice way for us to get that all bolted down. Guys, stay tuned to the end. You're not gonna wanna miss how these turned out. I mean, going from those plastic bumpers to these is already a huge improvement, but we've got the Warn, we've got some extra bling on here, front and rear. These are gonna be sick. All right, so we got the winch in. Let's get all the bolts in down below. Nice thing is too, I mean, obviously it's tight to the grill here. It's probably even touching it a little bit, but it does fit. I've read a ton of reviews about certain bumpers. When you put these giant Warn Xeons in, they cause a ton of issues. So this one seems to be fitting fine. Let's get it snugged up and maybe we'll find more problems like we normally do. This winch I had on my 1989 Jeep Wrangler YJ, which was like a mint showroom condition YJ, and it would have never gotten used. And I don't want to hear it. My YJ did 18 hours of Le Mans and went through every mud hole in Kentucky. Well, I had YJs that did that too, but when you find one from 1989 that's bone stock, it's pretty hard to go out and destroy it. So I had it on there for looks. I wanted to go kind of period correct. I really was trying to get like a Warn, like one of the M9000s, like one of the, or M8000s, but you couldn't find them. In a new in box, they were still so much. So I just decided to go with the Xeon. Now that I have it, I can kind of use it for projects like this. So, I mean, it's tight. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Right here and right here on those little frame horn pieces, it is tight, but it's fitting and all the bolts started. So we can try and give it as much room as we can, but it's tight. After a little bit of persuasion from Ryan and I, we got the bumper on. It wasn't too bad. It definitely had its moments though. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get that winch, those 2 bolts that went with that flag nut tightened up, all of those kind of frame reinforcements tightened down now that we have this on. And then on this particular bumper, the studs come through, and then all you have to do is put the washers and nuts on, which that bottom one is going to be really fun. And then down below, you guys can't see it, but right in through here, there's another bolt that goes through, and we're just going to use the factory ones. If you guys had a Rubicon steel bumper, that would go on. Now, while we're doing this, we are not going to tighten everything down completely. We're just going to kind of go through and tighten, you know, snug them up, snug the factory bolts up, the nuts on the back. And then once we have everything and make sure it's in and catching the threads right, we'll come back and tighten it down. All right, well, when you're wrenching on these new Jeeps, you never know what you're gonna run into. We have an Extreme Recon, and I'm not sure if that makes any difference, but there's this interesting bracket right here that holds on 2 extra bolts. The problem is, I'm not sure if this is gonna interfere with the new bumper that we have. The issue that I'm kind of concerned about is if it does, the nuts here that are on this backside, they're welded on this spot, and then the inner 2 are hollowed out. So I'm not sure. I tried to loosen this a little bit. Let me maybe try it again and give it a little bit more oomph. Yeah, they're welded on. So we're gonna mock the bumper up here quick, see if it works, or if we have to do any cutting or pull that whole bracket off and get 2 nuts. Because I mean, what we have to do then would be to unbolt the whole hitch from that side. This would come off, and then we could replace it with just 2 standard nuts back there. What? Come on. All right, we'll figure it out. Back in the day of the life of a full-time Brexit geezer. How are these? I think it should be all right. It might work. All right guys, so we're at this step of the installation. The rear bumper is super easy to do. So what we've got here, Motobilt actually includes this plate, and that's gonna go on the passenger side frame rail, right in the frame like that. And then it actually has a little stop here that's welded in. Because on the other side, on the driver's side, we have the factory red Rubicon tow hook, and that means that there are already welded inserts into there. Yeah guys, drop a comment below if you guys think we should give this away, and if you want to be entered to win, just drop a comment and let me know, and I'll pick somebody if anyone's interested in something like this. I think a lot of people are. They sell them for like 80 or 90 bucks, but I'll just give it away. But what's nice is that side has it, but Motobilt includes it over here. So we actually just had this powder coated as well when we dropped it off at the shop. So that's gonna go on this side. The bumper looks like it should fit even with this new contraption that I've never seen before. So we should be good to go. I'm gonna slide this in, and then we're gonna go ahead and put the rear bumper on. All right guys, well you might have noticed we finished up the rear bumper, but we do not have a relocation for the license plate. That is coming. I'm gonna do it off camera here, and then we're gonna show it off in the next video. I actually went with a license plate mount that will locate it up top here. It's a brand new product. that I saw released, and I really like the way it worked, but it does involve a little bit of tedious kind of work to get it done. So I need to go ahead and get that done today yet so I can drive this thing to work tomorrow. But the bumper looks absolutely incredible in the rear. It's so much easier than the front once you remove all those extra brackets. I've never seen that center section piece. It does clear with the Motobilt bumper, but I've never seen that kind of extra little bit. And I don't know if it's something that's standard now or on the Extreme Recon or just with any tow hitch, but I haven't seen that, and kind of correct me if I'm wrong, mine's a 22, but I've never seen it before. Well, we got both of the bumpers on. I am super happy with how they turned out. The guys over at the powder coat shop did a fantastic job matching this with the black textured materials that are throughout the vehicle. He actually said over there, he's like, let's get this to match really well with kind of the fender flares, like the black texture, the crinkle coat that's on here. And I think they knocked it out of the park. It looks excellent. This winch is going to perform really great for this wheeling season. And then also at shows, I will be able to kind of show off a fully built Jeep. But let me know what you guys think about these bumpers in the comments. I get a ton of questions on which bumpers to pick. What material should I go with? I'm very happy with these. I didn't have to cut, fabricate, even drill out anything at all. And I'm not lying to you guys. You would have seen it on camera because this is the channel where we just talk about how this stuff works. Front bumper was a little bit trickier to get on. It, dare I say, would take two folks. Get yourself, your wife, or a buddy just to be with you. And you got to kind of give it some, what do we call it, Ryan? A little bit of love on this side. Yeah, struggle something, you guys know. I'm very happy with the looks, the appearance, the way that the winch drops in here very nicely, and then also getting rid of that full width bumper, getting a ton of clearance in here for the tire to fully articulate, but then the body lines just match up so well with these front and rear bumpers. Till next time though, my name is Matt with Dirt Road Cred, and I want you to get out there and earn yours.